As customer success managers, we spend a lot of our time on scheduled calls with customers. They can be kickoff calls, executive business reviews, impact success calls, or even some check-in calls. Today, we're going to go over the ACE framework for making all of those calls effective and efficient, and we're going to make you sound like a professional so that your customers are going to be excited to work with you. Now, using ACE to start a conversation is all about setting and managing expectations. Imagine going to the airport, boarding a plane, and having no idea where that plane is going to. ACE helps us ensure that both we and the customer are going to the same final destination. We all have customers that we love working with. You know, the ones where we could spend an entire 30-minute call talking about our weekends, our travel plans, our families, and other small talk. In customer success, the chit-chat is essential to building relationships and trust with our customers. But often we struggle to take that conversation to the business level. I know in the past I used to say things like, anyway, let's get on to business, or so, to move the conversation to business. Mia, does that sound familiar to you?
Very familiar. Aaliyah, I love talking to customers, but we all have a limited amount of time.
Yeah, you know, it's really, really tough. I love talking to customers too, but I really know that they have such limited amount of time. So to get into the business part of the conversation, we can start with some gratitude. But instead of saying thank you, I want you to use the word appreciate. I appreciate you taking the time today.
Aaliyah, though, why appreciate and not thank you?
Okay, great question. Appreciate is a little more of a formal word. We don't want to go overboard. We don't want to say, thank you so much for joining this. I know you're so busy and, thanks for just taking the time. That can put the customer on a pedestal. Also, once you start using the ACE framework on all of your calls, your brain will start to build that habit, and using the word appreciate is going to act as a trigger word to unlock the whole framework in your brain. Oh, and remember that transition out of small talk to business? Using the word appreciate can actually act as a threshold word to indicate to your customer, okay, now we're about to start talking about business. Now, Mia, have you ever been on a call, you're right in the key point and the key stakeholder says, oh my God, I really need to run to another call? What happens?
Yeah, I've been in that situation, and it is the worst because it really cuts the momentum. And I'm like, oh no, we need to figure out the next steps. But what do we do?
I hear you. That's a really, really big challenge because we might never get that customer back on the call or that stakeholder. So let's get ahead of any of those time-related blockers by checking the end time, confirming it. It can be as simple as, our meeting is scheduled for 30 minutes. Are you still good to the top of the hour? Notice that after I stated the time, I asked a closed question to confirm. Asking questions also plants the seed for your customer to let them know this isn't just all about me talking. This is going to be a two-way conversation that they are going to be incorporated in. Now, let's get back to talking about setting expectations. The end goal of the call is the purpose of the meeting, the final destination that we want to get to together or arrive at together. Remember, the end goal is not about what I want to get at the end of the call. It is what the customer is going to do, think, or feel at the end of the call. Now, Mia, how do you feel about doing a quick role play of ACE?
All right, let's do it.
So, Mia, how's it going? How's the weather where you are?
Yeah, it's hot here. Definitely in Hawaii for sure.
I'm so jealous of you being in Hawaii. Oh, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time today. We have 30 minutes scheduled today. Does that still work for you?
Yeah, that works, but I do have a hard stop.
Okay, I completely understand. We'll make sure we finish right before the top of the hour. Now, by the end of this call, you will have a solid understanding of how to identify trends in your dashboard. Does that sound good?
Yeah, Aaliyah, that's exactly what I was hoping to accomplish today.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Mia. Round of applause. You did a great job. Easy ACE, and you played the customer really, really well. Now, did you notice that after I stated the end goal, I asked a closed-ended question? Do you notice that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So remember that example of getting on the plane? We need to ask a question so that both sides are aligned on that final destination. For example, if I say we're going to Paris, your customer could say, oh yeah, we're going to Paris. That was what I was expecting, which means the path that we're going to take to get to Paris makes sense. Now let's imagine that I think we're going to Paris, but our customer is like, wait a minute, I thought we were going to London. That's a big problem. We need to align on that end goal, because if we don't, it doesn't matter what our path is going to be to get to that end goal or that final destination.
Aaliyah, I have a question though. End goal, agenda, aren't they the same thing?
You know what? A lot of people do that remix, that mashup between the end goal and the agenda. In our next video, I'm going to talk to you about how we can separate the two and why it's so critical.